At 6:30 in the morning on the 1st of December 1948, a couple out for an early walk found a man propped against the sea wall at Somerton Beach near Glenelg, a quiet seaside suburb just southwest of Adelaide, South Australia. At first they thought he was drunk or asleep. He wasn't. He was dead. He was dressed sharply, suit, tie, polished shoes, but he carried no wallet, no identification of any kind. When detectives checked his clothing, they found every single label had been cut out or removed, as though someone didn't want this man to be traceable, even in death. No missing persons report matched him. No fingerprints on file matched him. For the next 74 years, he would be known only as the Somerton Man. And what happened next would turn a quiet beach death into one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in Australian history. In his pockets, police found almost nothing useful: a box of matches, a packet of chewing gum, 2 combs, a used bus ticket, and an unused second-class rail ticket from Adelaide to the beachside suburb of Henley Beach. A journey, it seems, he never made. He also carried a pack of cigarettes, but inside were more cigarettes of a different, pricier brand than the packet advertised, as if someone had swapped them or hidden something inside. There was no note, no wallet, no keys, no sign of a struggle. Just a well-dressed stranger who, by every outward sign, had planned to spend an ordinary evening by the sea, and a handful of small clues that led absolutely nowhere. Months later, examining the dead man's trousers a second time, someone noticed a tiny pocket sewn into the waistband, so small and so well hidden it had been missed completely. Inside was a single scrap of rolled paper torn from a book, printed with 2 words in elegant type: Tamem Shud. It's Persian, taken from the very last page of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a centuries-old collection of poetry. Loosely translated, it means it is finished or the end. Police appealed publicly for the exact copy the page had been torn from, and remarkably, a man came forward. He had found a copy of the Rubaiyat tossed onto the back seat of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach, around the very same time the body was found. Inside the back cover of that book, written faintly in pencil, were 5 lines of capital letters, a jumble with no obvious spaces, no clear pattern scrawled by someone in a hurry or in secret. To this day, no cryptographer, amateur or professional, has cracked it with any real certainty. Dozens of people claim to have solved it over the decades. None of their solutions agree with each other. Functionally, it remains unsolved, a message that may say everything or may say nothing at all. Also penciled into the back of that book was a phone number, faint enough that police very nearly missed it. They traced it to a nurse living just a few hundred meters from where the body had washed up, Jessica Thompson, known to friends as Jo, and sometimes referred to in records as Jestin. When investigators showed her a plaster cast of the dead man's face in 1949, witnesses say she went pale and looked genuinely shaken, but she denied ever knowing him. Over the years, her account of that day and of the book shifted and never quite added up. She carried whatever she actually knew to her grave in 2007, and her real connection to the Somerton Man, if there was one, has never been resolved. About a month after the death, staff at Adelaide railway station discovered an unclaimed brown suitcase sitting in the station cloakroom. It had been checked in on the 30th of November 1948, the day before the man died. Inside, ordinary clothing, most of the laundry tags cut out just like his suit, a stenciling brush of the type used to mark cargo crates or luggage, and nothing anywhere that named him. Whoever this man was, in his final hours he appears to have been systematically erasing his own identity, piece by piece. The autopsy raised more questions than it answered. His spleen was abnormally enlarged. His liver was congested and unhealthy. Pathologists were confident the death was not natural, but they never found any trace of poison in his body, no matter how hard they looked. A government chemist testified that the most likely immediate cause was heart failure. He simply couldn't say what had caused the heart to fail in the first place. The leading theory then and now is a fast-acting poison that broke down in the body before it could be detected, something like digitalis or a barbiturate derivative. Fittingly or not, some have wondered whether Tamem Shud, "It is finished," was less a torn page than a message, a farewell written by his own hand. There were other oddities in that autopsy report. The pathologist said the man's calf muscles were the most developed he had ever examined, the build of a dancer or a serious athlete. His hands were soft and uncalloused, hands that had clearly never done manual labor. And his toes were strangely wedge-shaped, a deformity caused by years spent wearing narrow, pointed, high-heeled shoes. A performer, maybe, an instructor, someone used to being looked at. Nothing about his body matched the anonymous, empty-pocketed story his death was telling. Timing mattered here. This was December 1948. The Cold War was just beginning, and less than 200 kilometers north of Adelaide, British and Australian authorities were quietly building the top-secret Woomera rocket and weapons testing range, one of the most sensitive defense projects in the region. A coded message. A man with no name, no labels, no history. A poison that vanished before it could be traced. It's easy to see why, for more than 70 years, one of the loudest theories has been espionage. That the Somerton man was a foreign agent, or a spy handler, caught up in Cold War secrets that somebody, somewhere, was determined to keep buried. For 70 years, the body lay in an unmarked grave at West Terrace Cemetery in Adelaide, exactly as police had left it. Then, overnight on the 19th of May, 2021, South Australia police exhumed the remains, part of a renewed cold case effort called Operation Persevere, aimed at finally extracting usable DNA. Forensic scientists warned the odds were against them. Decades in the ground, and the embalming process itself, could easily have destroyed any genetic material worth testing. Everyone involved admitted it was a long shot. On the 26th of July, 2022, the long shot paid off. University of Adelaide professor Derek Abbott, working alongside American forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick, announced a name: Carl or Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker, born in 1905 in Footscray, Victoria, a man who had simply vanished from all public records around 1947. The breakthrough, strangely, didn't come from the freshly exhumed body at all. It came from hair follicles preserved for decades inside the dead man's plaster death mask, held by the South Australia Police Museum. From those hairs, scientists built a DNA profile and matched it against distant relatives in public genealogy databases, the same forensic genealogy technique that helped catch America's Golden State Killer. One detail seemed to line up almost too neatly. Webb's sister was married to a man named Thomas Keane, and the name Keane had turned up, all along, on laundry tags sewn inside that mysterious suitcase from Adelaide Station. But here's the catch: South Australia police have never fully, independently confirmed the identification using DNA drawn from the exhumed remains themselves, separate from Abbott's hair-based genealogy work. Officially, the case is described as cautiously optimistic, not confirmed, not closed. So even with a name finally attached, almost nothing else about this case is actually solved. We still don't know how or precisely why Charles Webb died. We still don't know what those 5 lines of pencil code say, if they say anything at all. We still don't know who Justin really was to him, or why the sight of his face left her so visibly shaken. All that's certain is a name, a quiet beach in Glenelg, and 2 words torn from a 700-year-old poem, Tamem Shud. It is finished. Whether the truth ever will be is, 76 years later, still an open question.